Hi, David Dylan Thomas here. I'm speaking at Omnichannel X about how do I convince my boss, overcoming bias to advocate for change. And I just want to give you a little snippet here, a little tool that you can use to help your clients, your stakeholders, your bosses avoid creating metrics that don't really make any sense given what your goals are. And this tool is called an objective matrix, and it looks something like this. Basically, it's just a spreadsheet, and it lists out your goals, what objectives you're going to try to hit to make those goals happen, what strategies you're going to use to make those objectives happen, and then what kind of measurable tactics, right? Physical things you can do to help fulfill those strategies. And then finally, you can look at what success metrics you might use for those tactics. So let's imagine you're working on a marketing website. The big higher goal might be increase revenue. But then you're going to ask, well, how are we going to increase revenue? Well, that's where the objectives come in. We could drive sales leads. We could increase the efficiency of the sales process. That's great. But how are we going to do that? That's where the strategies come in, right? To drive sales leads, we might create compelling content or make it easier to get in touch. Well, how are we going to make it easier to get in touch? Well, that's where we get down to real measurable tactics. So to make it easier to get in touch, we could improve the visibility of the CTA or improve the language of the CTA. That's great. But how are we going to know if that works? Well, that's where we get to the metrics, right? So improve the visibility of the CTA or improve the language of the CTA. We might look at the number of leads generated. Now, notice how that number of leads success metric maps right back to the objective, right? Drive sales leads. Now, I don't know if you've noticed yet, but I've put a very, very bad metric in here. I'll give you just a second to see if you can find it. Take a look at number of case studies as a measure of success for create case studies. It seems kind of circular, right? And it doesn't really map back to the goal, which was drive sales leads. All it really tells me is how many case studies did you make? It might seem like a good goal because it's easy to measure and it seems related to creating case studies, but it doesn't need to be related to case studies. It needs to be related to that objective, that goal, drive sales leads. So feel free to use this tool or some version of it to help make sure that your goals are aligned with the things you're trying to do to achieve those goals, and that what you're measuring is actually aligned with what you're trying to achieve. For Omnichannel X, this is David Dylan Thomas. Hope to see you there.